What's up, guys? I was gonna do a fun video today, just a card video, but just talking to a couple of my buddies in the hobby about some grading stuff, and I just they like, you gotta make a video. So I thought about it, and just for the betterment of the community, I think I'll go ahead and make this video. But this isn't the kind that I enjoy making. But we got to talk about PSA and just the fact that the grade on the slab, on the flip, does no longer correlate to the quality of the card inside the slab. It just doesn't. There are too many issues with grading and what's going on these days. Now, PSA is grading like 1.5 million cards a month. There is no way. I've run an organization that had like 125 people in it, and that's tough. So I know, but PSA cannot get enough seriously qualified people to grade that many cards in a month. They're spending a few seconds with your card and making thousands of dollar decisions. But now it's wrong a huge percentage of the time. Now I know it's a little bit different with vintage, but even then, the grades just aren't right. Most of the time they're grading too strict, but also they're rushing so much, they're making mistakes, and their methods that they're using to grade and look at the cards don't work. They're missing too many things, and the grading is just incorrect a high percentage of the time now. Now I'm almost surprised when I look at a card and I agree with the grade that's on the slab when I look at the card and inspect the card. I've been doing this a long time. And people say, well, just go to SGC. Well, SGC is bought by the same company. Who knows what's going to happen, if that's going to become the same thing as PSA or not. Also, we have all these slabs. Like, I collect all these different sets in the same slab. I'm not going to replace 1,000 PSA slabs with SGC slabs, or even within a particular set. Let's say I have 30 cards within a set that I have in PSA slabs. I'm not going to redo that with SGC. It's just not going to happen. So it's a problem. And, some bosses will come to you and say, well, don't present a problem without a solution, or at least a proposed solution. The problem is, in this case, I don't think there is one. There's so much demand for grading. People are sending them in record numbers, and they're losing their shorts. That you can't have an A team for every grading category for 1.5 million cards a month. This is an A, B, C, D, E team. Just depends on who you get that day. Some of the really high important cards, get looked at by senior members. I would think that those are probably graded pretty well. But the vast majority, just in my estimation, there's a 4-grade swing just from what I've seen. It could be 2 grades higher or 2 grades lower. And mostly I'm talking about modern, not ultra modern stuff, but modern, 80s and up. And they're really tough to grade, but they're coming back now. You used to think maybe 1% would slip through or something like that. It's far higher than that now. The grades are incorrect, and we'll look at some stuff in a minute over at the stage, just so you can see what I'm talking about. I got another card in yesterday that's not the grade that it's supposed to be. So tons of stuff undergraded, tons of stuff overgraded. The grade on the slab no longer correlates to the card inside. It's just not. It could be a wide variety. Now, I know with vintage and eye appeal, it's different. You can still get a premium on a really good eye appeal card that has a different number, but with modern, it needs to be a 9 or a 10, and the difference between that can be 20, 30 times, just from a 10 to a 9. And then down to an 8, nobody wants it. And it can be the same exact card in the exact same slab. The exact same. 10 could be thousands of dollars. 9 could be a couple $100. 8 can literally be worthless. No one will bid 99 cents plus shipping on eBay. It's that big of a deal but yet it could be the same card graded completely different on any given day. That's a problem. It doesn't work for this hobby. It's hurting this hobby. And that's why I have to talk about it. I just love this hobby. I want to normally just have fun, look at cards, all that stuff. But what do we do about it? I don't think it could be fixed unless PSA institutes some kind of impervious technology that's just almost perfect that grades the cards. But right now, it's not working. They can't get the right people to do every single card at that level. And the methods they're using, the magnification they're using, it isn't working. The cards are not being graded properly on a huge percentage of the time. So I don't think there's anything we can do to fix it. I don't think people are going to stop buying PSA. I think the perceived value is there and people are going to keep sending. After 3 decades of this, objectively, Beckett is the most accurate grader out there. I've never seen egregiously misgraded cards with Beckett in their slabs. Their slabs are great. They protect well. They have the sleeve, all that kind of stuff. But the grading itself is almost always 99.99% correct. Their subgrades make sense when you look at it. The average or median or mean of those subs to come up with the overall grade almost always makes perfect sense when you look at the card. Beckett is probably the best actual grader out there. Now their volume is small and they're able to handle that. They may not spend a lot more time with the card than PSA. I don't know. But they do a lot better job. Now I'm not saying go out there and buy Beckett's. I know. People don't want them. People don't like the slab. They don't want the sleeve. With the really modern stuff, with the refractors, the sleeve makes it not look as pretty. I get it. But they're out there grading stuff really pretty well and giving us the subgrades and doing grades that actually make sense, and no one wants them. So people don't want accurate grading. They want something that's the most valuable. So they send it to PSA. Now, will this ever turn around? I don't know. I don't think you can undo what's been done. I think PSA got out there quick, and I think they became the name brand. They became the Band-Aid. Now everybody calls it a Band-Aid. They don't call it an adhesive bandage. That's just the way it is. I think PSA is just going to dominate. But the problem is now that we know for a fact, objectively, they are not correct a pretty big percentage of the time, what can be done? What can we do? We can't probably stop buying from them. But they're, Peter over at SGC, the reason a lot of people liked SGC was because of him. He would get out there, would talk. He seemed like a gregarious guy. He seemed like a good guy. He would talk about grading. He seemed a little more open and honest. PSA, they're closed-mouthed. They don't tell you anything you want to know. They don't let you behind the curtain. They don't want you to know what's going on because you wouldn't like it. And they are now there's a 0% trust level with that company. And the problem is with Nat on down, there's a 0% likability factor with these guys. Showing off their PSA 10 Hank Aaron rookies, and then everybody that's buying their product is just getting screwed. Their likability is 0 with me, and their trust is 0. You could get back any number of grades on a card that you send in, and it makes a massive difference in the value. You used to be able to try to make some money grading some really nice cards. Now you can just absolutely lose your shorts. But it's objectively just incorrect grades now. They're not right. Very few are even the right grade anymore. I don't know what the percentage is, but it's no longer that 99-1, and they're just making a mistake here and there. Now they're making mistakes all the time, and on the ones they're not making actual mistakes, they're grading way too harshly. People are just getting killed on value. The difference between a 10 and a 9 and 8 is gigantic. And they don't know what they're doing. But I'm going to show you a couple things that are concerning to me, a couple things I discovered that are, I find very interesting, and the couple people I've shown think it's very interesting. And I hope this video gets shared out there. But, it's just concerning to me that now we absolutely know that that PSA cannot grade every card properly. So then which ones do you trust? You don't know. But the problem is the number on the slab and the card, they don't correlate anymore. But the number on the slab and the value correlates 100%, especially on modern. I know there's an eye appeal thing with the vintage. But with modern, 10, 9, 8, they have certain values, and they're drastically different, and they're tied exactly to that number. You are collecting the number on those cards. So your card could get a 7, 8, 9, or 10 on the exact same card, and the value is huge difference. But depending on who's grading it or what the heck is going on at PSA that day, makes the difference in all those different grades. So objectively, grading is now meaningless, especially on modern stuff. But it's tied completely to the marketplace and how much something sells for. And I don't like that. I wouldn't put up with that with any other area of life. But they have a monopoly. And SGC has been swallowed up by them, so they may end up being about the same. I don't know. Hopefully not. But you can see since collectors bought SGC, they put a muzzle on Peter. You know, he lost all respect with me. He won't say anything anymore. They've shut him up. No one talks about anything that's important in the area of grading anymore. He sold out. He took a big check. I was hoping he was rich enough already and would keep running SGC and making it better, but now there's no hope for that. Who knows what collectors will do with SGC? Maybe they keep them doing about what they're doing now. They do a better job than PSA right now. They do. Not a perfect job, and they do grade too strict as well, for the most part. But who knows what the future holds. But, you know, Beckett probably is grading more accurately to the historical way we graded things than anybody, and no one wants them. Because of the slab, because of, hey, they just don't think people want them. The marketplace isn't paying for them nearly as much. So that's out. So now PSA runs the game, and they're not doing things correctly, and there's really nothing we can do to fix that. There's too much demand, too many cards being sent in. They cannot grade them all in a few seconds with unqualified people to at least a certain percentage. The people cannot be as good as the people that really know what they're doing, and they can't grade that many in a few seconds properly. So now objectively, the grading game is not correct. You cannot trust what's in that slab, but you have to go buy the slab for the value. No way around it. Now you can crack and submit, again, resubmit, but then you're just giving them more money. I mean, it just makes no sense. So I'm going to look at a couple things with you, talk through some of this stuff. Thank you for your time today, but I wanted to talk about this and show some things because the processes they're using, the people they have, cannot grade our cards properly, and the values of our collections and everything we do is tied to that. So let's check it out. Okay guys, here we are at the stage. Let's look at some undergraded cards, and then we'll look at some completely ridiculous stuff. I don't know if you guys watch Elite Co 3, but he's the most knowledgeable grading guy I know. He sends literally 200-300 cards at a time to PSA. He's been doing it for decades. He knows exactly per card, per set, exactly what grade something should come back. He's doing a lot more SGC now, but PSA, I mean, he knows 100%. It's just completely incorrect now. Constantly cracks and resubmits. You know, he'll get a 7 from PSA, crack it, resub it to SGC, and get the 10 that it deserves. I mean, there's nothing wrong with the card at all. Or maybe it's a 9.5 because there's something so minuscule it knocks it down half a grade. But they'll throw a 7 on it at PSA because they don't know what the heck they're doing. And then he'll send it to SGC. It'll get the 9.5 or 10 almost every time because he knows what he's looking at. he re-looks at the card after he gets the terrible grade, and then he knows what it should be, and he sends it, and he gets the grade it needs. So if you haven't checked out Elite Code 3, he's one of the GOATs. He's YouTube Hall of Famer, extraordinaire, all that kind of stuff. But he does the era that I like, 80s, 90s, and early 2000s. Only difference is he does about half football and half baseball. I'm all baseball. But really interesting to watch his stuff. But now it's just gotten ridiculous. You can watch his older videos, completely different than the newer videos. But now he's doing a lot of SGC, so he's getting a lot better grades, a lot more accurate grades, I should say. But yeah, everybody that has been doing this a long time knows how bad it is now. But I'm trying to show cards that I haven't shown when I've talked about this kind of stuff before, so we'll look at some different stuff. I've had stacks of this stuff sitting here that I can't do anything with because the grades are no good. And some of it I want for my collection. There's another card that I'll show next that I was going to show in my favorite cards of the 70s video that I'll still show there, but we're going to have it for a different purpose today. But this one here, 2000 Finest Griffey, when he first went to the Reds. It's a chromium card. Perfect card. You can look at it any way you want. Full razor sharp corners. Surface is perfect. This went straight from a pack to a sleeve. The back, you say, well, it's got the chipping in the white corners. No, it does not. All of these have a little tiny white in the corner, and they would still get a 9 if they did. They'd have a little chipping here and there. This is as clean as a whistle. This card is perfect. This card's a 10. And they throw an 8 on it. So the difference between that is valuable card, and then 9 has some value. People will buy it because it's Griffey and it's a 9. 8, nobody wants it. You throw this up for 99 cents, you're not even going to get a bid on it. The exact same card that should be in a 10 holder. So what do you do? I don't know. I'm not going to send them more of my money. I'm not going to crack and resub. So I usually just keep these things. And I don't enjoy them as much because even though I just want to enjoy the card, just seeing how dumb they are just makes me mad. Perfect 10s coming back 8s does not make sense. The back, everything is perfect about that card. I inspect stuff very well, and I have for a long, long time, and I used to know exactly what I would get back within a very small margin. Then there's this one. This card here is probably the card that was the straw that broke the camel's back for me subbing to PSA or even caring about doing any of that kind of stuff. There was a card of this that sold for over $400 in an 8.5, and then I got this from Greg Morris. They said it was an 8.5 plus, so it should have been an 8.5 or 9. If you know anything about 1975 Topps cards, they just don't come in that flavor. They don't come that nice. The printing marks, the off-centering, everything with the colored borders, corners, all that, you just cannot get nice ones. This one is the best one I've ever seen in my life. It is better than the 8.5 that was on eBay. It sold for over $400. So I sent this. I paid a premium to rush it, all that kind of stuff, because I wanted to see what was going on. If I hit a 9 on this thing, it's probably a $1,000 card. They don't exist. If it's an 8.5, it's 400 and something. This card is, it's flat out amazing. Pack fresh, just completely pack fresh card. Dead centered on the front. It's nearly perfect. I'm not saying it's a 10, but that centering, that cleanness, no big print spots. This is a 9 all day long. If you want to say it's an 8.5, okay, maybe. They put a 7 on it. They made this card worth way less than what it's worth. You go on eBay right now and look at all the other ones of this that are in 7 holders. They're not even in the same league as this card right here. This card is amazing. And after I sent this, knowing I would get something really high on it, of course, my opinion and Greg Morris' opinion matched up perfectly. This was going to be an 8.5 or a 9. This was going to be a killer card. I was so happy to buy it raw and get it graded. And they sent it back a crappy 7, which off-centered spots, bad corners, all kinds of stuff on 7s that you see. This is an awesome Herb Washington card. And that card is super sharp, which goes to prove what I'm saying. They don't even know what they're doing with vintage. They can't grade modern and they can't grade vintage. So what are they doing right at this point? I don't know. Okay, so now let's look at some cards that are just completely mistakes. One of them I got in yesterday, and I started thinking, like, how is this possible? How are they missing this? Obviously, there's two things I know for sure. They're not spending enough time with each card, just a few seconds, because they have too much volume, and they cannot possibly have enough totally trained, knowledgeable people to do the kind of volume they're doing. That is two things for sure. But what else could possibly be going on? Because they're missing stuff. They don't know how to grade, so the grades are all wrong, and then they are missing bad flaws and making mistakes. So this card came in yesterday. I collect a run of 9s of Diamond Kings and Gallery of Stars. Some of the minor stars are, regular stars like this, not super duper stars. Don't get graded often, so I was really happy. Get a couple of, I got a Danny Tartable in this one. I'm like, all right, this is great. Got them for very cheap. PSA 9, wonderful. But then I looked at the card. And if you look, that corner is terribly bent. That's not a 9. That's an extremely bent corner. It's dinged, been dropped. Now heck, PSA could have dropped it for all I know. There's also a mark here and a streak, like it's been streaked. Could be a pin mark that's been smudged. I don't know what it is. Could be a printing error, whatever. But it's a pretty noticeable mark there. And in this corner that we were just talking about, from the back, you can see how creased and bent it is. This thing's been dropped. So, or it came out of the pack, after it had been dropped. But I don't know if it got to PSA like this, or if they did this, but regardless. I started thinking, how in the world are they not seeing this stuff and putting 9s on it when they're grading my perfect cards like this one and just giving it an 8? Makes no sense whatsoever. This thing is definitely not a 9. And that corner is terrible. For some reason, I can't get my loop to work through this camera right now, so we're gonna have to not use that live, but I have taken some pictures through it and did some video yesterday that we will look at here. So here is that corner kind of up close and personal. It has got a massive ding in it, as you can see. That thing is just a bad corner. It's pretty darn dinged up. Okay. Here's the same corner through my loop. Same corner. So you use a loop, extra light, and magnification, the flaw disappears. If this is how they're looking at your cards, and my cards, and the corner actually looks like that, we have a problem. I think I'm onto something. This is part of the problem. They're looking at it like that. They call this thing a 9, but it actually looks like that in real life. That's the same corner, guys. Yeah. That's through my loop last night when I got this card. It looks like a perfect corner, but it actually looks like that. Yeah. So I'm like, okay. The technology, the methods that PSA is using don't work. That doesn't work. That dog don't hunt. There's no way in the world that could tell you what grade the card is. Now you say, oh, they're using a different loop than you. Okay, I know. But whatever magnifying apparatus is being used could be showing them something like that. Could be showing them that. Looking under high magnification, you can see all kinds of little details, but you cannot see that bent corner. It looks perfect. but it actually looks like that. So, might that be part of the problem? I think so. They're rushing everything too much. They have too much volume. They can't have qualified people to do that much. They're not spending enough time on the card, just a few seconds. Things are not getting graded right on a high level. This one here is not new. This is one I've had. This is a 91 Leaf Gold Rookies, Luis Gonzalez. Of course, the Bagwell is my favorite one, but this, he was an Astro prospect. I wanted to get 10s of as many of these I can. I got the Ryan and the Henderson, all that stuff. Love these cards. But I got this a long time ago and got the 10 and I got it in and I was like, what the heck? Let's try to get it to focus on this corner here. It's hard to get this to change for some reason. I wish you could see this. There we go. That corner there is bent terribly. Okay. The lighting is tough, but there it is. So it's curled up, it's bent up, and then there's another ding in the corner, even beyond that. So this corner has been dropped. It's smashed. It almost looks dark on the corner, like there's color added. It almost looks like someone touched it up with the marker on the very tip. But at the very least, it's bent. You can see right in that angle there, it's bent up quite a bit. This isn't a 10 holder. This isn't in a 9 holder. I'm sure they'll desert this thing after this video. Because let's punish the collectors for our bad work, right? Look at that. That corner is no good. But guess what? When you use a loop, and I'll show you a video I did yesterday. We'll do it with no sound. Here's a video when I could get it to work. When you look under high magnification, that corner looks perfect. Really good lighting, really good magnification. But then when you look at it in the light, you can see the smashed corner. So these methods don't work. You think the loops and the high magnification and the bright lighting, all that kind of stuff makes this thing work, makes the process infallible so that you're always going to see the flaws even more. Well, that is the real corner. It's bent up and it has another little smash in the corner, maybe color added, I can't tell. But that is what it really looks like. And then when you put the loop on it, it looks like that. Looks like an absolutely perfect corner. So that's what you see under high magnification and lighting. As you can tell, it's going through the loop, but in real life, that corner is like that. And this one's not only in a 9, it's in a 10 holder. That looks like a 10 corner right there through a loop, which should show you more detail, but instead it's worse. So it is not infallible for them to try to use high magnification. It's just not. There's the corner. It's a completely bent over, smashed corner in a 10 holder. As you can see, I'm showing you at the same time the corner and the grade. So there you go. That is not even close to a Gem Mint 10. And this is definitely not an 8. And this is definitely not a 7. So the grades on the flips no longer correlate to the grade of the actual card in the holder anymore. I don't know what percentage of time, but it's a high percentage now. I look at everything now. I study everything like Sherlock Holmes. I am just a forensic nut about this now because I want to see what is going on. I want to try to understand. But now it's just not good. Now we're talking about a hobby that everything's driven by this company. Everything with value is based on the numbers on these flips. but the numbers on these flips have very little to do with the quality of the card inside, and that is concerning. What can we do? I don't know. I don't know that there's anything we can do. I don't think people are going to stop submitting, sending the money, recracking, all the stuff that's giving them millions and millions of dollars. I don't think so, but they control the hobby with this stuff. These numbers matter, especially with this more modern stuff, 80s, 90s, 2000s. The 1098 makes a massive, massive, massive difference in value, but there's no difference in the card inside. There can be a 3 or 4 grade swing. And obviously they're rushing so fast and using the wrong kind of methods. And now we have cards that they're missing massive problems with and just grading them 9s and 10s, when most of the time they're under grading, but obviously they're making mistakes in the other direction. So just wanted to cover that. Got that card in yesterday. It made me do a little bit more forensic investigation, try to figure out what's going on. I showed Greg and talked to a couple people, and I'm like, well, I guess I'll make a video on it because I care about the hobby. I want it to be good, and PSA right now is not good, and it cannot be trusted. So where do we go from here? I don't know, but wanted to show you that, wanted to talk about it just so you can understand that the grades on the cards are not correct a high percentage of the time, and it can be in either direction, and it can be close or it could be not even close. But the number is dead on in people's minds with the value of the card, especially in modern. You can't even sell an 8. 9 has a little value, 10 has many times more value than even the 9. So from a 10 to an 8, you could be super happy, making some money, or having a great card in your collection, whatever you're doing with it. An 8, you can't even get a bid on it. But it's the same exact card. And that 10 I showed you a second ago is probably not even a 7. It's a completely smashed corner, maybe even color added. They don't know what they're doing. They can't handle the volume. Their methods don't work. So that's where we're at. Anyways, hope you got something out of this. Hope you learned something. Hope we can figure out some way to get around this. Hopefully PSA can somehow figure out how to do better. I don't think they can ever be perfect, but they need to do better. This hobby deserves it. You guys deserve it. Until next time, thanks guys.